Right now, on millions of computers, any program you run can silently read every key you press into every other program. Your password as you type it, your bank login, your private messages, all of it, readable by design. This isn't a virus, and it isn't a bug someone forgot to fix. It's a feature written into a piece of software in 1984, and the only real way to close the hole is to delete the entire thing. That software is called X, and 42 years later, Red Hat is deprecating it, a lone developer is forking it in open rebellion, and it is still quietly rendering a screen somewhere right now. So why can't the most advanced operating systems on Earth kill a windowing system built before the fall of the Berlin Wall? The answer starts with a single email. In June of 1984, a researcher named Bob Scheifler, working inside MIT's Project Athena, an effort to network a campus full of computers from rival vendors, wrote down a guiding rule with his colleague Jim Geddes. Provide mechanism, not policy. X would define how to draw a pixel and how to deliver a keystroke, but it would never dictate how a desktop should look or behave. That choice made X universal. Sun, DEC, Hewlett-Packard, Silicon Graphics. Every vendor could build on the same foundation. The X11 version shipped in September 1987, and the protocol number has never changed since. But universality left a hole where the rules should have been. X could draw your windows, yet it had no opinion on how copy and paste should work, or how a window manager should talk to your programs. That vacuum had to be filled by convention, a document called the Inter-Client Communication Conventions Manual. Every window manager read it differently, therefore applications that worked in one shattered in another. And because X still refused to enforce any of it, GNOME and KDE eventually arrived in the late 1990s and rebuilt the entire missing layer themselves, bolted on top of a protocol that would never hold it up from the inside. The seams still show. Screen tearing, where the image splits mid-refresh, exists because X predates modern display synchronization. Blurry, mismatched scaling on high-resolution monitors happens because each application scales itself, with no central authority to coordinate them. These aren't oversights. They are the direct fingerprints of a 1984 design pressed into the screen in front of you. And it goes back to that keystroke problem, which was never an accident. In 1984, every program was assumed to trust every other program, because they all ran inside one trusted machine. That assumption is now a structural liability. In February 2025, researchers disclosed 8 fresh vulnerabilities in the X server, use after free flaws and buffer overflows, some tracing back to X11 Release 5 from 1991. Code that had been sitting untouched, exposed, for over 3 decades. If this is pulling you in, subscribe. This channel unearths the hidden history behind the technology you use every single day. You cannot patch your way out of a flaw like that, because it doesn't live in the code. It lives in the model, which is exactly what Xorg developer Kristian Høgsberg concluded in 2008 when he announced a replacement called Wayland. Wayland deletes the separate server entirely. The compositor talks straight to your applications and your hardware, and no program can spy on another. The fix existed. So why did it take almost 20 years to take hold? Because X had one legendary feature: network transparency, the power to run a program on one machine and display it on another. Revolutionary in 1984, but by 2008 nearly everyone ran local programs on a single laptop, and that feature had quietly become dead weight. And here's the part that trapped everyone. Decades of software assumed X would always be there, so developers built a bridge called X Wayland, an X server running inside Wayland to keep the old programs alive. That bridge worked so well, it erased the urgency to ever finish crossing it. Which brings us to the rebellion. In June 2025, a developer named Enrico Weigelt forked X into a new project called XLibre, framing it as rescuing the protocol from corporate control. Within days, he was banned from the freedesktop.org infrastructure, and over 100 of his contributions were erased. Supporters cried censorship. Maintainers called his patches untested and dangerous. Either way, the project pulled thousands of followers within weeks. Meanwhile, the mainstream marched the other way, with KDE announcing its Plasma desktop would drop the X11 session entirely in late 2026, its own telemetry showing more than 95% of users had already moved on. And yet X refuses to die, kept breathing by the people who still need it. The remote desktop workflows, the accessibility tools, the automation scripts that have no finished replacement. Scheifler's 1984 email had hedged that this was only a good starting point for experimentation. Never the final word, and he was right on both counts. X was announced with an offer to swap code on a reel of tape. 42 years later, it is being deprecated, forked, wrapped, and fought over all at once, and still rendering somebody's screen tonight. That isn't survival by excellence, it's survival by being the thing everything else was built on top of.